There was a time when only a select few of the fastest riders in the world had the opportunity to get their hands on brand new, fully spec'd race sleds. They were limited builds, only a few hundred made each year, every one of them allotted to pre-selected individuals. But today, things are very different. While Polaris isn't the only manufacturer offering race-inspired sleds in their lineup, they do it best by offering a sled that is exactly the same as what the Pro Class guys are racing. It's not similar, it's not sort of, it's the same sled. The XCR is Polaris's cross-country racing sled, and last season's Polaris factory cross-country racers switched from the Axis chassis to the new Indy XC129 platform and found immediate success. It only stands to reason that a new XCR model would follow suit, so the big news for 2020 is the new Indy XCR 129. And of course, now the most important questions we need to answer are, what's different versus a regular Indy, and is it actually any better? The short answer to the first question is a lot. The long answer is everything that was included on the Pro XC-based XCR is now included on the Indy XC version, plus a whole bunch more. Let's take a little deeper look, and let's start at the rear of the sled. Now, obviously, the XCR Indy rides on Polaris's stellar Pro CC 129-inch skid frame. Geometrically, it is almost identical to the standard Pro CC. Now, I say almost because the XCR uses a 2.52 pitch track, which is about 1 inch shorter overall, but is preferred because it gets more lugs on the ground, which translates into more traction. This skid also gets a massive boost in durability thanks to a 4-wheel rear axle with solid wheels, braced rails, a braced tunnel, aluminum coupler blocks, and stiffer torsion springs. The most impressive upgrade on the rear of the XCR, though, is definitely its set of 2-inch bodied Walker Evans Velocity needle shocks, which are arguably the highest tech, most impressive shocks in the industry. As you move forward on the sled, you'll find aggressive running boards, and the overstructure that supports the steering post is made of aluminum rather than carbon fiber for ultimate stiffness and durability. Under hood, there are a few tricks as well. A beefed-up Hayes brake is cooled by this side panel mounted vent for ultimate fade resistance. A solid jack shaft is tough as nails, and an Axis performance seat, fixed bar riser, and race-style bar round out the XCR package. The front suspension is, again, damped by a set of Walker Evans Velocity needle shocks that feature a full list of adjustments. More adjustments than the average rider will know what to do with, but cool to have nonetheless. To answer the question I posed earlier, how does it work? That's where the fun begins. To properly test an XCR, it has to be ridden to its absolute limits. You gotta push it hard, and darn it, it's gotta be jumped. So that's exactly what I did, day after day, week after week. The truth is, though, it didn't take nearly that long to see just how good this setup really is. On a groomed trail, the XCR rails like it's on rails. The front end sticks to the ground like all Axis IFS-equipped sleds do. The inside ski lifts just a few inches off the ground, and then it stays there, which helps transfer the weight of the vehicle onto the outside ski, which simply tears itself into the snow, providing predictable and confidence-inspiring handling characteristics. But this isn't only true when it's smooth. The Axis front end combined with the equally as composed Pro CC rear end help the Indy XCR maintain perfect composure in all conditions, from freshly groomed to a Sunday afternoon at Tug Hill. Much of these stellar handling characteristics are of course thanks to this awesome set of Walker Evans Velocity needle shocks that Polaris describes as position sensing. Basically, the damping characteristics of the shock change as the shock moves through its stroke. Anti-bottoming is taken care of by the ultra-fast compression ramp-up that occurs when the needle does its thing. Now, with all this praise comes the one and only criticism for this version of the XCR. Its handling is not quite as planted or precise as the previous Pro XC-equipped XCRs. It's not far off, though, and it's still ridiculously good. Ergonomically, the XCR is ultra-aggressive because it's supposed to be. This was never meant to be a slow-speed touring sled. It's meant to be ridden up on the tank with your knee way out over the side panel. There's no question a big part of how fun this sled is to ride is attributed to Polaris's fantastic Patriot 850 engine. By now, you've all heard our thoughts on this motor and how it performs. What's important about this motor in the XCR, though, is its smoothness. While many assume that racing is all about jamming a throttle as hard as possible, the truth of the matter is that being fast on a cross-country course requires monk-like levels of throttle control and smoothness. two things that are made infinitely easier with a Patriot 850 under the hood. I think what makes the Indy XCR 850 a great consumer sled is that while it is absolutely capable of being raced as hard as any pro rider ever could, it can also be set up to ride, handle, and behave extremely well for the average trail rider as well. Polaris nailed the XCR when it was first introduced as a Pro XC-based rush, and it got even better as a switchback. But there's no question in my mind, the 2020 Indy XC-based XCR is the best XCR Polaris has ever offered.
If you like what you've just seen, click the subscribe button and comment below. And make sure you check out all of our great videos on Snowtrax TV's YouTube channel.